Jets! 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 Woo! Let's go! Let's go!
What's going on, Jets fans? Welcome into NYJ Today, episode Jamal Adams, 33. And we are so happy to be with you guys. I do apologize. My voice sounds like awful because I am a mixture of still recovering from sickness, but also from screaming at the Jets games. As you could see from the intro, I was pretty juiced for the pre-game for the Jets game. So anyways, it's great to see everybody in the chat already. Thanks for coming by. We do have only a couple of mailbags this week, which is interesting. I guess because of the losing, Jets fans are not as excited to submit their questions, but it is what it is.
We're moving on.
Yeah. And Mike, I didn't even go to you. How are you feeling, man?
Doing good, man. I know me and you've been in a work tussle this past week. Obviously, the post-game show, I know you had to move that, but I'm doing good, man. Obviously, I'm excited about this stream because obviously this is the reconciliation period where we reevaluate expectations, potentially talk about, perhaps player optimism that maybe was a little too high, maybe some expectations that still might be achieved, but I have my thoughts on what we've seen obviously this week, and then obviously building off the loss from week one. For the chat, I haven't had a chance to really talk to John because he went from being at the game to working. We haven't really been able to connect yet, but
No.
So I'm interested to hear John's thoughts. I know if anyone's following him, he's been going back and forth on Twitter, and John, I believe I'm with your thoughts. I think trying to quell the emotion, and I just want to say the Jet fans are out there who feel pretty let down by the organization or let down by certain players' performances. I get it. I'm just gonna say I've seen the responses to John's tweets, and I've seen some going to Jet Talk and Green Beam. I get it, and I'm John, you could imagine the text I got from my dad on Sunday, especially when Sam had a all-time Sunday game. So of course I got that text, but
he played all right. He didn't play all that great.
It was really McCaffrey, but
yeah,
but I get it. But we'll get into that later. But I'm doing good.
All right. Well, we've got a couple of people already in here. We got Stephen Engel, Frankie from Flatbush. We have Harry W. We have Braden as well. Jeremy Cravat. I don't know if I said his name already. Daniel Roberts. I hope they let Denzel Mims play. I'm going to go on the same limb that I was on last week. He will be inactive in Denver. I am almost certain of it. Crowder did not suit up against the Patriots. So it's pretty much... at this point, I'm not going to count on him playing any games unless somebody gets hurt. What are your thoughts real quick on that? I'm over the Denzel Mims things. I'm not talking about it anymore because I feel like the New York Jets have made it very clear where he stands. And I just don't think anything's going to change unless there's injuries or unless he really does step up. What are your thoughts on that? Him seeing the field or not seeing the field?
Oh, I agree. I think if they were going to play him... Did he dress?
He did not. He was inactive for the Pats.
He was inactive.
Okay, inactive. Gotcha. So that means you are in street clothes, essentially.
Yeah. No, I mean, if they were going to play him, then I feel like that would have happened. So whatever's going on, I don't expect that to change anytime soon. But who knows?
Me either.
Who knows?
Yeah, I don't think it will either. My wife, she's saying, let me see that jersey. I treated myself. I've been waiting for stitched jerseys. I was considering getting a current player. They just haven't gone for sale, so I got myself a stitched Namath jersey. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty clean in this one. It's all stitched up.
I like it. I like
It's
it a
my
lot.
it's my jerseys, man. I love the stitchers, and this is my only white jersey now. So anyway, we'll get into the show right now. It's great to see everybody. Mike Galizia is now in. Good to see you. Robbie Oak is here. I'm gonna get to all of your chat, guys. So just keep sending in those messages. If you want a guaranteed, Stephen Engel's not happy that I'm wearing a Namath jersey. If you want to guarantee me to read your comment, feel free to, drop a super chat. All good. If not, though, and I'll do my best to get to your comments throughout the night. Let's start with the embarrassing face that I'm currently wearing. So if you notice, I'm a few complexions darker, and it's because I got completely crisped on Sunday afternoon watching the game. Like a jackass, I didn't put any sunscreen on. This is what I looked like on Sunday night after.
I think that's a drop on Michelle's part. Michelle, where were you?
Of course, right? Let's blame Michelle.
Someone roast Michelle in the chat. This is her fault.
It is. I'm not a responsible person. I'm a man.
You're like a child.
Sneakers to boots. It's good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, man, I'm not able to take care of myself. Let's just be honest. Michelle let me down. Something cool from the game too. I got to meet Jets media. He saw me in the parking lot. I was like, "Oh, hey, I know you. You're on the internet." So that was pretty cool. He was a good dude. Talked to me for a couple of seconds. So that was pretty neat. We'll get into the couple of comments that we have real quick. Robbie Oaks says Denver will be bad. He says, but then we get Atlanta. Oh, Tennessee will be bad too. We're going to need that win. Man, could you imagine it? I mean, it looks like we have a decent shot to go 0-4, which is really not great. But what if we lose to Atlanta, who's not very good this season? What are your thoughts on potentially being 0-5, 0-4? You can go ahead and hit that one up. I'll let you go first.
Again, this is where, we reevaluate a lot of things, a lot of the hopes and dreams that we said leading up to the season starting. I mean, I wanted to say I had us around even. Obviously, I think that's hopefully that's a reach now at this point. It's not really even because we have 17 games, but
yeah.
I can't remember if I was over or under, but it was somewhere around that 9-8 kind of mark, or 8-9. But anyway, I think even that's going to be hard because I was looking at after the Pats game, I was like, well, let me look at the rest of the schedule and see if I can pick out somewhat easy wins.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had a hard time, man. I think a lot of the picks that I would tell you, Tennessee, Atlanta, I had as a win, Jacksonville, I can easily see those going a different direction. And everyone wants a better season than last season with Gaze. Do I think we still end up that way? Yep. Excuse me. But do I think, is there a part of my logic that thinks that we could end up with the same record or somewhat close to that? Yeah, there is that thought. And in which case, how do I feel about that? And to me, I think I just keep going back to this as a rebuilding year. It's the first year for a quarterback, it's first year for a head coach. There's a lot of firsts on the team, and some of the tweets I saw, John, where it was like, it still isn't any excuse. They're all getting paid good salaries. They're in position to do one thing, which is win games for the organization, for the fans, for the city. And I get that, and I do get that, but I just think that things take time. So I'm preparing for the worst. I do think that we end up with a better record than last season. But I will say I'm surprised with some of how hard it is to get going. Let's just say that.
Sorry, I wasn't laughing at you. I was laughing at a couple of comments. Someone said, it was Daniel Roberts. He said, I wonder if you taste good with melted butter because I was wearing that crab shirt. Honestly, man, I can't recall the last time I had my face get that burnt. It was really, really sunny. There were zero clouds in the sky. Absolutely zero in the sky. Yeah, man, you're not wrong with much of what you're saying. I think people including us, we need to take it a step back and realize youngest football team in the NFL, a whole lot of new coaches, and it's absolutely a factor. I don't care what anybody says. We all want to win. It doesn't matter what your take is, like we should win now or whatever. We all want to win. But the current construction of this team, I'm not shocked that we're 0-2. I wouldn't be shocked if we go 0-4 to start this season. But I'm still optimistic, and I still feel like during the course of this season, we want to see them get better and better and better and better. That's what Saleh sold us on. He was talking about Pete Carroll talking about how those first, second-year players, they develop the fastest. And so if we can get these guys to learn, to get the systems all set up and right and tight, and they learn it really good, there's no reason why we can't rip off some wins at the end of the season and near the middle of the season. So my optimism is not down. It's sad when we lose. I'm very disappointed. I was bummed out badly when we got stomped by the Patriots. That sucked. But my optimism really hasn't changed all that much. Let's see here. Let's go to some comments. Yeah, I think I saw Matt O'Leary got burnt too. I don't know. Did he get burnt as badly as me? I got roasted badly. People are commenting. So Vern is saying it. And also, sorry, the name has slipped my mind. Let me get that right. Harry W. also said he thinks we're going to win this weekend. And we've already talked about it. Mike and I are going to this game. We're going out to Denver. Doesn't even really seem real. We're flying out Friday night.
Taking the show on the road, baby.
Taking the show on the road. I'm pretty sure we're going to go live from my phone after the game, that night on Sunday. So stay tuned for that one. What are your thoughts? We'll talk a little bit about this game before we get into the 2 mailbags that we do have. What are your thoughts on this game? Just real short, real quick. Do we win? Do we lose? We have a prediction segment later, but just give me your initial thoughts. Do you like our odds or not?
I think it's going to be hard for us to. I would love to take Denver, and I had Denver as a win, partly because we were going to the game, and I wanted to have that optimism behind it going into it. But it's not that they can't win. I think that this will be the harder rebound for them. I thought for sure that the quick rebound was going to happen for week 2, just based on I don't know. I just felt like coming off of a tough loss to Carolina, especially with Sam there, that this would be a game where we put up a fight. I think they're going to have a hard time coming out of this one. I think there's a lot of pressure on Saleh, a lot of pressure on the coordinators to really get that team out of its head and ready to play. I mean, it definitely could happen. I just don't. I think it takes another game, which is why I'll be happy, but I don't have good vibes going into this one. Now, Denver is obviously probably the weaker of the opponents that we face. I think if I'm trying to think their weapons.
They have very good weapons, and their defense is killing people right now.
I thought their defense was struggling. No.
No, they're playing pretty good, but they haven't really faced anybody very good. They've played the Giants. They're not that great. They've played the Jaguars. They're not all that great. So it's not impossible. You already said it. It's not impossible we go in there and beat the shit out of them and win the game. Crazier things have happened in the NFL. My thinking is it's a road game in Denver. That's tough. That's a really tough environment. They are 2-0. So that crowd is going to be very, very hyped up. So
then you got the oxygen level difference. So
yeah, I mean the travel thing is a big deal too for a young squad. Definitely, the travel is a major thing. So
I don't know. Like I said, I would love them to win. I just think that after a 2-game loss, I feel like that's where you're really in your head, right? Because the media is now turning on them. That was my impression. All the major articles was starting to waver on the aura that was Zach. Not to a great extent. I think Rich Eisen had a really good clip on his thoughts on the game. I enjoyed his, which was that it really should have been a shock. We all knew Bill Belichick's record when it comes to rookie quarterbacks, and how he just totally just takes them to school over again. Some of the media I thought were really realistic, and were kind of circling the drain around your thoughts that you were putting on Twitter, John, that the team was young, that there was still a lot of things, a lot of pieces that needed to be put in place. But obviously, there was a good amount of media outlets that were kind of that same old New York, perspective, which was if you don't win now, then everything was a waste. And I think that more than ever, I think the team, especially Zach, with him being so young, I think he'll have a hard time coming out of it this week. And if he does, great. But if he doesn't, then I'm somewhat getting ready for that.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of pressure on Zach to not be like a superstar in this game, but he definitely should bounce back. He can't go into this Denver game and have. I mean, he can, of course. He could go into this game and have a clunker, but I think it would behoove him and it would behoove the Jets coaching staff to get him on the right track and to get him to playing a little bit more cautious football. I mean, there were definitely a lot of throws in that Pats game. He was certainly trying his best. He was trying to make a big play. I think that may have been what it was, going for this Pats game. I think he was really, really hyped up, like we all were.
Yeah.
And I think he wanted to make big plays, and I think he wanted to prove himself to the fans. I mean, this is the first time the Jets fans have got to lay eyes on him in person, and I think that's part of it. I think he really wanted to just have an awesome game, and he pressed a little bit. And so, is that the worst thing ever for a rookie to do? No, he had a bad game, and they all do. Every rookie has a turn. All of them do.
Yeah.
And so I'm not sweating it at all. I know a lot of people are freaking out on every social media platform, call-ins to the radio shows. I was listening to the call-in shows on the way home, and they are just freaking out, man. It's like, just pump the brakes a little bit because we haven't seen enough of them. It's been 2 football games, so I'm not sweating nothing. So, all right. We will get to the comments. I've got a bunch here, but I am going to go to our mailbag right now. If you haven't been submitting a mailbag, please consider doing it. For the people who are here, this is a great way to get one of your top questions answered or one of your top takes get to be seen. So I will post it in the community tab for the channel. So if you want to post, a question, I will put it up on the stream at the beginning. So anyway, we'll get into that. We'll do that right now. The first one is from Grant Rude. He said 2 solid secondary performances. He says the early outlook was I was very wrong. Improvement from the O-line from week 1 to week 2. I don't think that's any doubt. Johnson Carter 1-2 duo looked good. Saleh and Ulbrich looked good. He loved Rankins and Jonathan Franklin Myers. He said Darnold highlights in MetLife. I didn't see that. I didn't hear about that. I was in MetLife. Maybe I was passed out for a moment. I don't remember seeing the highlights of him. Fans already talking draft. Cam Newton. Come on, man. I don't think anybody wants Cam Newton. I haven't heard that one. If you have, that's ridiculous. We're not going to sign Cam Newton. I don't mind people talking about the draft just because it's such an intriguing thing for fans to talk about. Like, people love the draft. Like, there are people who will cover the draft all year long in anticipation for the NFL draft. So I don't really have too much of an issue with that. Mike, why don't you talk a little bit about what he said here? The outlook of the secondary. We were all kind of saying, it's going to be the weakness, but it's actually turned out to be one of the better parts of the defense. They look pretty doggone good. The young pieces in the secondary. Also, the improvement from week 1 to week 2. The offensive line played way better. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
No, I totally agree. I think, it was obvious that that the coaching staff did a great job, trying to reorient, refocus the team coming out of week 1. Big gains out of the offensive line. Definitely saw much more composure there. Less stage fright. Morgan Moses. And even in keeping my eye on Fant at left tackle, I thought that was one of the big things. As I didn't catch the game live, so I was watching on Game Pass. But the good thing about that was I was able to just kind of focus on players at times and just kind of rewind and play over and over again. So definitely agree with Grant's perception there. What else did he say? The play calls the coordinators and LaFleur and
Yeah.
Ulbrich. I think they were. I have no problem with the play calls. I mean, I think to your point, John. I think given some of the ways the penalties and some of the way the game went, they had to up the aggressive level, and there's high risk, high reward in that case. But there wasn't any play calling issues that I saw. On defense, you're a better eye for the defensive schemes that they're running. But when it comes to the secondary, they all it all looked like they were really ready to play, and that's the best you can ask for a rookie squad like that. With how young they are, and a lot of them just being drafted a few months ago. I thought that group showed a lot of maturity for how young they are. That was my immediate reaction to that.
Hmm.
I
I
don't
like
have the
what I've.
tweet.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just gonna say I really like what I've seen from Michael Carter, the
Oh, the
cornerback.
running backs, yeah,
No, the
yeah.
cornerback, not the running back. The
Oh, the
corner.
cornerback, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he's
No,
he's
absolutely.
looked good in his couple of the people or the plays where they've targeted him. He's done fine. I liked what I've seen from
Yeah,
him. Did you have another
yeah. No,
thought you wanted to
absolutely.
throw in there?
No, of course, I'm a big Brandon Eccles fan. I thought, obviously, I think he does a great job. I guess the one thing I was thinking of was, did you see what was his name? What was his name? Sherwin Redfin. What's that guy's name who led up the
Yeah,
Bobby
yeah. Shedrick Red Wine.
Redwine? Thank you. I didn't spot. I didn't spot him. Was he playing? Was he the starter? Was he in the rotation?
I
I mean, I was
honestly
just keeping an eye. I wasn't sure what his performance was during the game. I
they
was trying to keep an eye out.
they cut him, so he's gone.
Oh, did they cut him? Okay, well there
He's
you go.
gone.
Well,
Yeah, ancient
yeah,
history.
well,
Um, all right. Well, the offensive line thing, I was very, very, very impressed with how they got them to turn around what was a really, really bad week one performance into a week two performance that I thought was pretty damn good, actually. They protected Zach. I think he had enough time. And the running game was good, man. The running game was solid. We were opening running lanes. We saw some flashes from Michael Carter, of course. So I was very pleased by that, and I'm very much excited to see the offensive line continue to gel. If they looked that good against the Patriots week two, I think that's a good sign, man. I think that's encouraging as hell. And we'll get Becton back hopefully at some point later in the season. That'll be good. We can establish ourselves even further, get him a little bit more, into the rhythm of the offense.
right.
So I'm still very optimistic. Go ahead. What's up?
No, I was just going to say the running game. It's great to see some energy coming out of our backs. In the committee that we have there.
Yeah.
I think the one thing that I would say where and I was going to say where I was a little disappointed, but before I say that, obviously Elijah Moore really having a bigger part in this game versus Week 1 was really
Mhm.
exciting to see, and obviously some ups and downs. There's some peaks and valleys, but definitely could see the upside of what he's bringing to the offense and the scheme at that point. So I don't know if Grant had Elijah in there, but that was another I
Yeah.
don't know kind of pro that I had on Week 2 versus Week 1.
Mm-hmm. A. Mitch, he has a comment. He says, our biggest problem is play calling. I was upset that every second down was a play action INT. Play calling was Gase esque for sure. Um, you
See, I
might
guess
be.
my
Go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead. No, I guess that's because when we talked about what LaFleur's scheme was going to be and what his brother does, I just felt like that was something that I was just kind of expecting a heavy play action, especially with the offensive talent that we have. So I see where he's coming from. I guess maybe I just coded in my head that was kind of what our main bread and butter was going to be.
Yeah, no, I think you're right about that. I think we are a run team, and we are in the attempt to build off the running game is to use the play action passing game. He's not wrong. The interceptions were really frustrating. They were bad, but I will throw in one little nugget, and I want to see the offense do more short to intermediate stuff. I think they have been overly aggressive, especially in week two. I think they were trying to go downfield a lot, um, but the stuff wasn't there. And I don't think we can go ahead and say, like, okay, that's clearly LaFleur's fault. Just try to remember, like, this is still week two. He is still a first time play caller. So he's definitely working through some things. But I don't know if like every play that he drew up early in that game versus the Patriots was like a designed, let's go downfield and attack them. I think Zach was looking for the deep stuff early because he wanted to make those splash plays. I could be wrong on that, but that's just my interpretation, is that Zach was a little bit overly aggressive. And so if LaFleur can do what he did with the offensive line from week 1 to week 2, if he can kind of rein in Zach Wilson just a little bit and show him the film and say, look, on this play where you threw downfield, you actually had a guy underneath that was open for like 5 to 7 yards. Like, you need to check it down. You need to take some of those easy plays and prevent yourself from throwing into trouble. So if he can rein him back just a little bit, I still have confidence in LaFleur. I know there are a lot of people, not just you, Mitch, that are down on him. I'm not going to quite go there yet. I'm just not ready to do that. I still like the scheme that we're running, and I like him as a coordinator.
Yeah, I agree.
Michelle, she says, I think Zach has to just slow down, read the field, and we have a shot. I agree. Just go a little bit, look, take your shots when they're there. Like, if you get a one-on-one, for sure, go ahead and go downfield and try for that. He did it in the Panthers game. He almost hit Elijah Moore early in that football game. It was a one-on-one opportunity. I'm cool with those. When attacking downfield, I like it. When you've got those one-on-one matchups, I think that's great. So we'll see. This is one of the reasons why I'm worried about this game. It is Denver's home opener. They were on the road in New York, and then they were on the road in Jacksonville. I think it's going to be noisy, man. It's a 2-0 team going home for the first time this season. That's going to be a tough environment. Let's get to some more chat. Mike Galizia, he says, as a Jets fan for 43 years, I have seen it all, but I'm still optimistic in this team. A lot of positives out of this game. Keep everything in perspective. It's how I view it. So you and me are pretty much on the exact same wavelength for sure. Jeremy says Zach needs to take what the defense gives and stop trying to make the huge plays every snap. I think that's totally fair to say. Let's see. Morgan Moses is practicing with a ox limiting mask. Oh, that's interesting.
Smart.
Okay, so he's trying to prepare for, the thin air in Colorado. That's interesting. I hadn't heard that, but I like that. I think that's interesting for sure. There's a lot of confident people in the chat, man. People are saying we're going to win this week. That's the other thing. I need to hear from you guys in the chat. How do we react in the stadium if we score a touchdown? Do Mike and I do we just like clap like quietly in our seats?
Like clapping for the queen? Do we paint our faces? Should we paint our faces?
I'm not painting my face. No, thank you. We could do like a little quiet fist bump maybe. Vern says, if the D holds up, we are winning. Denver is a downfield passing team. That's fair. They do have Cortland Sutton. They do have Jerry Jeudy out. They have Hamler. They have Noah Fant, their tight end. He's a stud. So, all right, let's keep going. Robbie Oak, he says, let's just keep showing development and character. Yeah, man. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but we are the youngest team in the NFL. Let's just keep on keeping on. Secondary needs to hold up, and we got this. I want to win, man. Just because I think we might lose doesn't mean I don't want to win. I think people get that confused sometimes. Let's see. Oh, this is cool. Yeah. The Noah Fant and George Fant are brothers, so they will be playing on the same football field.
Oh,
not at the same time, but still.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime. I feel like anytime brothers play each other, that's pretty awesome. Dean, we haven't seen you in a long time, man. I think the last time we saw you was around draft time. It's good to see you in the chat. He says defense and special teams played well enough to win both games. Offense has to catch up. I don't disagree at all. I think that's a fair take for sure. We don't need to see Griffin in the slot ever. No kidding. My God. So people were complaining about that because Mims was inactive, and they were like, well, you got Griffin in the slot, Mimsy could probably make a play or two from there. I don't know.
You know, I think the one thought that it's a bummer for me because I really like the kid was the lack of a tight end. Really, I think is going to be a problem for us because that tight end option I think is one of the things that a lot of teams have, a lot of great teams have that I don't think we're getting any production out of. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I'm not. My reaction has nothing to do with what you're saying. You're 100% right. The tight end position on our offense is not good, and it's not going to produce enough.
I mean, Croft had 10 yards.
Croft,
something like that.
Croft has been so quiet.
Yeah.
And I felt like, not that he would be a star, I felt like he was going to be one of those guys that could catch like 3 passes a game, something like that, threat in the red zone. He may still end up doing that, but I thought more of him, going into the season. Mitch, I don't want you to get it mixed up. LaFleur definitely has things he needs to learn, and I agree with you. The 3 runs in the red zone, not throwing it on 3rd down or 2nd down, I did not like that at all. So, yeah, LaFleur definitely needs to get better. My only thing is those interceptions. I'm not completely ready to blame him for the interceptions. I think that there were probably options for Zach to check it down. Excuse me. To check it down. So, I mean, it just is what it is, man. He's got to learn. And I think he will. I think he's going to get better quickly. So, yeah, that was weird. When we ran it 3 times in the red zone down, I didn't understand it. I mean, I get it, like they could have potentially scored on, the 3rd run. Like that could have happened. But it's not. I don't know. I just thought that was too cowardly of a move, I thought. I mean, don't you agree? It was just like kind of chicken shit a little bit.
No, true. I forgot about that. I forgot that we did that. Yeah, no, 100%. 100%.
All right. I'm millions of comments behind. I do apologize. We do have a super chat from A. Mitch. A. Mitch, I appreciate it. He says, if Belichick takes away your best receiver, why not use Corey Davis and do some misdirection? I didn't see any end arounds or screens. LaFleur, you might not be wrong, man. Again, I feel like, so going into this game, that was one of the big things DJ BNMA of the Daily News was saying. He was saying it was a lock. They were going to lock Corey Davis down, or at least that was going to be their focus. And so Mitch is not wrong. Why not use him as a decoy and put him in motion a lot? They didn't really do a whole lot of that. We did see a couple of, I don't want to say running back screens, but we saw a couple of wide receiver screens. I remember they did one with Berrios at one point.
Yeah, I was going to say, some of that I think is where Berrios produced so much. I mean, I get what he's saying, but, obviously when one receiver gets locked down, another needs to step up, and obviously Berrios' production last week. I think obviously I wouldn't say it was misdirection, but I do think that they did a good job positioning another receiver to take advantage of the double teaming that Corey Davis or the zone. I don't know what they were doing to lock him down, but obviously Berrios having such a great game is somewhat a result of trying to maximize the rest of the offensive squad, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I do hear, I do hear what you're saying, though, Mitch. They do need to have more designed quick passes, not just have short options on the plays, but also to just get the ball out of his hand very quickly. I would like to see them scheme up more of that. Thank you for submitting the super chat. I really do appreciate the support. Mike says, "Oh no! Don't be quiet." He says, "You cheer your ass off and represent." I got a wife and a kid. Received. I got a wife and a kid, though. I don't want to get in a fight.
Well, Denver fans are.
I got Big Mike next to me. He'll take care of me. He'll definitely go to war for me.
He's screwed.
All right. Yeah. Are you guys wearing Jets jerseys to the game? Yeah, probably I'll wear a Jets jersey.
Oh, hell yeah. Come on now. I'm not gonna be secret agent Jet fan.
I will say this though. I didn't wear one to the home game because it was hot as hell in those seats, dude. The report
You didn't wear your jersey? You took it
it
off?
was it was way too hot. It was so hot. We were in the sun the entire time. I was sweating the entire game.
Really?
Oh, it was really hot.
Michelle wear hers?
I think she did wear hers. She was, I think, naked under her jersey. I don't recall. But yeah, no, I didn't. I couldn't. It was way, way too hot. So I may be just repping a Jets T-shirt. I don't know. Definitely something Jets related though.
I'll have my jersey on, Jet fans. Don't you worry.
Uh, all right. No, we're not wearing Elway jerseys. That would be very cowardly. That would be very LaFleur like. Yeah, you're right, Tommy. Once it gets to be a little cooler, that's going to be the side that everybody wants to be on. The seats that we were in were
Yeah.
awesome. We were in the third mezzanine, the first row, like the 40-yard line. Like we had great, great seats. It was just really, really balls hot. I mean, it was super hot. Manny C, you didn't miss much, man. We're still kind of getting the show rolling here. We've only done one mailbag. So you haven't missed too much. Speaking of which, we'll go to this comment because we haven't really talked this one over too much. This is from Football Wins 32. See, guys, this is from YouTube. So look for the mailbag in the community tab on Mondays and leave me a comment. I will put it on the show. Football Wins 32. He says, "Are you worried about Zach Wilson based on his performance last week?" And I have to assume he means, are you worried long term? Mike, are you worried long term about Zach Wilson based on his performance last week? What up, Grant Rude? Mike, you go.
What's up, Grant? No, I'm not worried at all. I think that there was a mixture of things, some of which that you touched on, that chat touched on, in regards to contributing factors for the week 2 performance. I think first home game, obviously going against one of the best defensive minds, being Belichick. Take it or leave it with that. Obviously still trying to get accustomed to the squad, getting accustomed to the play. The list goes on and on. But at the end of the day, it could be nerves, and that's just the trajectory that every player has to go on when it comes to maturing and becoming, taking it to the next level. I think that there's still a lot of things that I saw that were really good out of Zach. And unfortunately he just didn't execute. I do think that majority of the interceptions, I think were just poor execution on Zach's part. But every player has a good game, every player has a bad game. So to me, this is just one of the first bumps in the road for what is a long career, hopefully with Zach. And although we might not win next week, or this week I should say, I do think that we see him quickly show how good he is with lessons learned and watching tape and becoming better, showing progress. So I'm not worried at all. I think it'll be interesting to see what the consistency with the rest of the team looks like, particularly offensive line and things like that. But when it comes to Zach, I think this to me is just part of life. It really is. It's just one thing we see every quarterback go through.
I think he's showing who he is a little bit. He is not afraid to throw interceptions, which I know maybe not be a great thing. Brett Favre made a career out of being a very, very aggressive player. I'm not saying he's going to end up at a Brett Favre and Hall of Fame, but, he has to learn how to deal with being a quarterback of the New York Jets. And it's going to be longer a process than just one off season. I'm still super duper high on Zach Wilson. I think he showcased a lot of his ability in the Panthers game. And I wouldn't sleep on the Panthers. I think a lot of people want to talk a lot about Sam Darnold on the Panthers right now, but that team's pretty damn solid right now. They just beat the Saints, and the Saints are a decent football team. The Saints crushed the Packers. So I feel like that Panthers team is better than I think we realize
Gave
right
them
now.
credit. Yeah.
Yeah, man, they're a
I mean,
decent
look at
football
Trevor.
squad.
Trevor's going through the same growing pains as Zach is. So anyone's, I saw some of the feedback was like, oh, look at look at Trevor. Look at Trevor. Trevor's having the same turnover problem. Not to say that Zach has a turnover problem. Just say over the last 2 weeks, Trevor has a very similar situation. So I mean, we don't give these guys enough room to grow. I mean,
Right.
we really don't.
Yep, you're 100% right. All right, cool. So A. Mitch was in this section 131 in the shade the entire time. You son of a bee. I would have died. I would have killed for a little bit of shade. We were blasted by the sun. Blasted. Michelle, she agrees. It was so hot. Sneakers to boots. He says Wilson has an injured groin that will have to be maintained throughout the year. So there's like a common thing in the NFL that you'll hear, or a phrase that you'll hear, is that players are they injured or are they hurt? And an injury is different from playing hurt. Like you can play hurt. It sounds like that's what he's dealing with. It's a injury that is going to be painful and that he will have to manage throughout the season, like you said. But I don't think it's going to be anything that will end his season. I don't even know if he'll need a surgery on it necessarily. But it's interesting. I hadn't read that he was going to have to manage it throughout the year. He looks okay in practice, so we'll just have to wait and see what he looks like in the game. We have another super chat from A. Mitch. I really do appreciate that support, man. It means a lot. I will read your comment right now. He says, I have to say that damn stadium was rocking. I did not boo, and I hated hearing and seeing that for our home opener. Go Jets. We'll talk about that because I was tweeting a lot about that this week too. And I have a pretty clear take on it. What are your thoughts on the fans booing? Because there was some booing. I think it took place in the third quarter.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the boos and the fact that the stadium was super duper loud in the beginning of the game?
Yeah, I just I don't know. This is where I verge off to be the peacekeeper. I get it. I'm not saying that it's right. I'm not saying that's right, but I get the emotion where the fans are at, and we're just coming out of the Adam Gase era. We're coming off a 2-14 season. It's first home game with this new offensive, with the new team. I mean, if you think about it, and against our arch rival, which will, in my opinion, will always be the Patriots. And we get spanked. And
25-6, right?
Yeah, and I didn't hear about them showing Sam's highlights. And John, you can't recall that happened, but
I'm sure it did.
If I'm a season ticket holder and I was really drinking the Kool-Aid, and I, with the PSLs, I don't even know what the season tickets cost now. If you're in the chat and you have them, you don't have to put what you pay, but I just would be curious what the ballpark of what those season tickets are. I can imagine being pretty upset. Let's just say that. So, do I condone it? No, because I think it puts a lot of undue pressure on the team. It makes us look bad as a fan base. It already adds to the reputation that I think the Jets have in terms of, at times I think we're not even looked at as a real competitor, unfortunately. So I don't think it does anything good. So let me say that. But on an individual level, I get where the fans are at. A lot of that was feeding into the Twitter exchanges, but I understand. I don't think it's good, but it's just years and years compounding in terms of our fan base feeling disappointed and let down. And so I'm kind of torn by it. But if I had a message to give them, I'd say just give this team some time, and then you can make up your minds at that point.
Yeah, there's there's definitely a contingency of Jets fans that feel like they should be able to boo no matter what the hell they want. I mean, it doesn't matter what's going on. They should be allowed to boo whatever they want because they pay for the seats. And I do understand and I do appreciate that take. We spent a lot of money. Michelle and I spent a lot of money to go to this goddamn game. And It's very, very frustrating, and you get sick to your stomach when you're sitting there watching it because nobody is enjoying that. No Jets fan that really wants this team to do well is like, oh, this is fun and dandy. Like, we're here, watching this game and we're getting our ass kicked by our rival, like you said, Mike. I did not boo. I'm not really a booer in general. I don't. It would have to be like we're getting our doors blown off for me to even consider it. And honestly, this is just such a young team, so new. My expectations, I predicted 8 wins going into the season, but really more likely it was like 7. I don't expect them to win many games to start this year. And my focus is on mid-season to late season. How does the team look? How do we progress? How is the coaching staff? How are they developing themselves? So, I did not boo. I think it's a little bit too soon to be booing, but hey man, everybody gets to make that choice. And I think I said that in my tweets. Everybody can make their singular choice to boo or to not boo, and that is what it is. Nobody can control that. So
Right.
Gumball is here. He says Zach tried to force it too many times. If he keeps that up, I'd be worried. We've seen that story before, haven't we? Somebody who just kind of forces the ball in there when there's nothing really there.
Sanchez,
Darnold, all of them. He will need to tone it back for sure. You can't sit there and say like, oh yeah, he can have another 4-pick game. Sure, why not? He needs to scale it back for sure. Let's see.
I think that's where you're the most recent, like that media is not really focusing on, which was that penalty or that fumble call. That really is because that really set the tone. I really think that put the thought of gotta score, gotta be aggressive in LaFleur and Zach's mind immediately. I think if that fumble call would have been different, again, we're talking about fictional scenarios because we'll never know, but I do think that something like that, a critical moment in a game, can really put a player, put a team in a very kind of live or die situation, which they didn't necessarily have to be in. I've been really hovering on those exchanges because I think that's a great point. I don't know if you want to touch on that.
I will talk to you about it. I'm gonna go to the chat. Don't let me avoid that comment though, because I need to talk about that. Rodrigo Costa, it's good to see you in the chat. This is a hilarious comment from Vern. He says, drunk Jets fan gets knocked out in stadium, will be on YouTube soon, Mike.
Yeah, he's showing his sunburn today. I'll be showing a black eye next Wednesday.
I am not a fighter. I'm a lover. I will talk trash with anybody and have fun doing it, but I'm not gonna be fighting anybody. No way, no how. Not to mention, I'm 36 years old and I don't want to get my lights knocked out by any dudes that are physically fit. I'll just be sitting and having a nice time, drinking a beer, watching the Jets game. It'll be all good. All right, let's keep going. Or Daniel Roberts is saying, or could it be that maybe Green Bay is not as good as they were thought to be? I think Green Bay had a bad game, kind of like the situation with the Jets game versus the Patriots. I think it's just normal for people to wonder and to speculate, oh, maybe this team's not that good. I just think that they just had a really, really bad game. The Packers had a bad game versus a decent team in the Saints. And I will stand on that rock all day long because I feel like that's mostly what I think that you would chalk that up to. Just my opinion, of course. I'm just going through the chats here. Boo birds exist in virtually every fandom. Exactly. Yeah, that's another thing to not let it get you too bent out of shape. I agree with that. It was loud right up till that third INT. Sorry, but I booed 4 INTs. Warrants a boo. You don't have anything to apologize. I hope you understand that. Just because I didn't boo doesn't mean I hate anybody that did. It's truly everybody's own personal decision. The fact that people get all bent out of shape because some people decided to boo or not to boo, I think is pretty interesting. Vietnam VIG, what's up, man? Good to see you in the chat. Don't recognize you. Welcome to the channel. He says, I hope you guys talking about this W we're about to get. We're going to talk about this W that we're maybe going to get. I hope so, man. We're going to that game. We're very optimistic and hopeful. We'll see. All right, let's get to the first comment. We've kind of touched on all of these things a little bit, but we'll focus on them. Oh, Corey Davis, or not Corey Davis, the Marcus May force the fumble.
Yeah.
It's short and skinny. They effed that up. The refs completely screwed that over. The whistle did not happen until after the play, until after the fumble was forced. So they screwed that part up. And the ruling is that they had blown it dead, which is not correct. And because they said that, they were not able to review. I don't know why they didn't just call it a fumble on the field. Right. Let the play roll. Like, it's just nuts. It was obviously a fumble. Anybody who says the forward progress was stopped, no. We had stopped him, and then May ripped it right out. I mean, it was a hell of a forced fumble by May. It sucks that it didn't count. Grant Rude, he says, 2-14. Adam Gase was supposed to be rock bottom. Wilson week 2 was one of the worst QB performances I can remember. The boos were deserved. It was bad, but I don't know if it's one of the worst. He had some good throws in the game, but I hear what you're saying, man, and there's no sense in arguing like, oh yeah, it wasn't that bad. Like, of course it was bad. It was a bad game, and he will need to do better in the future. Brandon Gorky, he says, yo, what's up? Jets, Hex Jet in the house. Brandon is the winner, or was the winner of the Wayne Corbett helmet giveaway. So it's good to see you, Brandon. Thanks for stopping by. New York fans are emotional. It's part of playing here, unfortunately. I think that's a fair take. They are very emotional, good or bad. Like, they want winners. They really, really want winners. And when it doesn't happen, man, they get pissed and they just get frustrated. That's like the thing. It's like a give and take. Like, it's a good thing because we're so passionate, but it's also one of those things where it can be so, disappointing.
Yeah.
Because they will get frustrated and they will turn on the team if they feel like it. Let's see. We got a couple of super chats here. Sneaker to Boots, he says, nervous Nellies need to relax. The team will sync up. I mean, you're right. I do think that the offense will get better. And it is still my belief is that this team is just going to get better as the year goes on. So I'm not real worried about that. The team not getting better. If this were week 15 and we had a major dud like this, then I would be more concerned. But there's still so many kinks to iron out. I'm just not going to allow myself to get too worried. Mrs. T, she drops the super chat and she says, beer money. I appreciate that, Mrs. She is the best. $20 for our beer money. That'll go a long way in getting us each a beer. So thank you, Mrs. T. Greatly appreciate that. T. Yes. Let's get to some more chat. John, you telling me I'm 48. No fighting for me, bro. Yeah, I physically am unable. I'm on the pup list for fighting. I am not physically able to perform in a fight.
Jeez. Good Lord.
It's not happening.
Half in the coffin?
Yeah. John, I'm on Long Island, and I noticed there's a red glow in the west sky. Is that you? It was on Sunday night. There's my face again if you missed it. I was burnt to a little crisp. Really bad. Really bad. Mike's doing the podcast from a hospital bed in Denver next week.
People think I'm going to... some people think I'm going to rush the field.
That's not a bad idea.
You think
I
it is?
like,
You think I should?
yeah.
You think I can? If we start to lose, I can stall the game by going out there. You see me get tackled on live TV.
Yeah, no, we will not do that. We're gonna have a good time, man. It's like it's a different. So I know people probably have been to away games. It's a completely different vibe because you're just there to mostly watch the game. You're not really there to like chant and like do like crowd stuff. Like
Right.
you want to have a good time. We're
That's how you get in
traveling.
trouble.
It's a brocation. We're going on vacation together. Gonna go enjoy
Exactly.
ourselves. Like we're just having a nice time, man. And if we get the win, that's the cherry on the cake.
Cherry on top, maybe.
Yep. Vern, oh, I'm sorry. This was a good comment by Brandon. He says, I look forward to the day that Jets fans don't have to debate whether booing is warranted on Twitter for a week. Amen. Wouldn't that be nice? It would be nice if our team was like any other like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Chiefs, and we're like, oh, this guy didn't get enough targets in the 40-17 win that we just had. Like that would be a great conversation.
One day.
Yeah. Emanon talking about the fumble, the non-fumble. It was awful missed call by the refs. Just terrible. And again, we would have had the ball at the 36-yard line. If we have the ball at the 36-yard line, maybe the play calling is a little different. Maybe Zach Wilson, scales it back because he knows, oh shit, we're about to take the lead. Worst case scenario, we're kicking a field goal if I take care of the football. Like we just don't know what would have happened. We never had a lead in that football game. And maybe we could have, and I still stand by the fact that that can change things. Let's see. We have another super chat from V-Man. Thank you guys so much. All the support means
super chats.
Yeah, super chats are all over the place. Thank you very much. Means a lot. V-Man, he says, if Mangini was in The Sopranos and Bowles was in Luke Cage, what show would Rob Saleh cameo in? That's a great question. What do you think, Mike? What should he cameo in? I can't think of a TV show, but I can think of like a movie.
I said to you, I said he reminds me of the guy who played the Mummy in with Brandon Fraser. He looks just like him to me. I don't know why, but yeah, that's on a TV show. I'm trying to think. Give me a second. Let me see if I can come up with something.
I'll throw a TV show out there. How about The Boys?
Oh, good call on that. That's a good one.
He would be
That's a
great
really good one.
as a villainous hero.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
That's a great show, by the way. Anyone in the chat who haven't seen The Boys, please go watch that. You will thank us later.
Yep, it's a great show. So The Boys is on Amazon Prime, I think. Awesome show. It's basically like the heroes like you would see in Marvel movies, except the heroes are all evil. They all do weird shit and they're like crazy.
Does that mean that Saleh's evil? Is that what
I don't know. Maybe he could be on the good. Maybe he could be on the good team. That would be fun.
I got you.
So that's my answer to V-Man. The Boys, Saleh. He'd be great in that. He would be awesome.
That's a good one. I like that.
Mike Galizia, he says, Mike, John is basically saying he won't have your back. Mike Galizia, it's like you are reading my mind and you know me already.
Well, you know what, Mike? I'm not shocked because there was a movie that came out 28 weeks later, long time ago. But if anyone doesn't know that movie, it basically takes the zombie script and flips it upside down by making zombies super fast rather than super slow. And John said to me with a straight face, dead face, he said, if we are ever in this situation, we're together. I'm going to trip you if I have to. So that just tells you. I already know I got to keep eyes on the front of me and the back of me when it comes to this man.
Yeah, I would. If we were in a zombie apocalypse, Mike would be already dead meat. I would earn his trust, and then he'd be dead. He'd be zombie burger meat.
And I asked him, I said, "Are you serious?" He said, "Yeah, I'm dead serious."
Dead serious. Christopher Marino, he says, whole game is different. Horrendous call. I had some people say to me that the game wouldn't have been different if we hadn't gotten that, or if we had gotten that turnover. Momentum is a funny creature, man. If we had gotten that turnover, we were already in scoring position. I don't care what anybody says. Momentum is a factor in the National Football League and in sports in general. It's all speculative because we don't know nothing. We don't know anything, but anyway. Vern says Game of Thrones. That would be an interesting one. That would be an interesting one with Salah. I don't know what kind of role he would play in that, though. I guess he would be a good, like a knight.
Yeah. I see him as like, I don't know, like Robert Baratheon or something like that.
Yeah. Christopher Marino, he says Salah would be a drug kingpin in Ozark. He also has that look to him.
Would he be in Breaking Bad?
Yeah, he could sling some crystal meth in Breaking Bad.
Sling some crystal.
Yeah, he could sling some crystal in that show. I feel like he could definitely do that. Yeah, The Boys, definitely. I feel like that's definitely. Rex was in a Sandler movie. Yes. I don't recall which one, but yes, Rex appeared in an Adam Sandler movie. I second Ozark. Oh, the Scorpion King. Yes. He would be good in that too.
That's what I'm talking about.
I also thought of a Need for Speed. He could
Need for Speed? You mean Fast and Furious?
Oh, shit. That one. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry.
Playing video games, baby.
No. He would have been like he could have been like the long lost brother of Vin Diesel. Yeah. He could have been like Yeah. Well, they had like that milk chocolate skin, baby. Hey John, hoping Wilson has a big bounce back game for you. Thank you, sir. Really appreciate that. We definitely need it. It was a rough one on Sunday, no doubt. Now this is great. We need more comments like this, guys. The Walking Dead, sea coach bashing some zombie heads. He would be.
What's the name of the character with the bat with the barbed wire around it? Do you remember?
Yeah,
Negan.
Yeah, Negan. He could play a Negan. Yes, I used to love Walking Dead. I stopped watching that show though after Carl died. It was that was a killer for me. I couldn't watch it anymore once they killed the kid. It wasn't that I didn't like the story element of it, but that the comic was written to follow Carl and the dad. It wasn't written for him to die in the middle of it. Like, it just was so weird. So, let's see. Surtain will be a good one. Yeah, the cornerback that the Broncos drafted, Pat Surtain Jr., I think his name is. Yeah, he looks like he'll be awesome. Son of Pat Surtain of the Dolphins. Peo says, should I start Crowder or Davis? Go with Davis. Crowder would be like the safer option, I guess, but you have to assume he's like all the way ready to go. I would go with Davis though. He had a big week 1. Carmelo El Bori's way. He says Mims gotta play. I'm just not understanding this. Apparently, it is just playbook related, man. There's not too much to figure out anymore. Salah has been very transparent about it. It's been all about learning the offense and earning his keep. I refuse to discuss it anymore just because it's clear they're not going to play him. He will be inactive versus the Broncos unless something drastic changes. Let's see. When should we... Wish we had kept Flacco around one more season instead of throwing Zach right out there. We talked a lot of... Go ahead.
No, I disagree with that comment. I was going to state it a little bit earlier, which is I'm actually really happy that we don't have someone breathing down Zach's neck, because I think that some of our fan base would already be saying to play that other player. So I think it's great not having that in our way. Zach gets to take this whole season and use it to build, to progress. And yes, I understand, the first game he was getting beat up. Now, obviously, at times he was put in positions that maybe, would you say he's, really had the ability to be ready for that type of situation? I get that, but I just think it's like on the job. Like everyone will probably agree. The best way to learn a job, you can get a degree that helps. You can watch their onboarding tapes, but until you start doing it, that's the best way to really become a master of any craft, any job, any career. And I just feel like let the kid play. I'm glad we don't have anyone breathing down his neck. And if Flacco was there, it's not that would have that much pressure, not like the Mac Jones versus Cam Newton situation. I don't even want to deal with that. To me, I'm glad that we just have the ability just to play Zach, let him have the field, and see what he does. So I saw some people talk about that, and I just wanted to comment on that, John, real quick.
Yeah, no worries. DSMY, you're not the only one that feels that way. I kind of agree with Mike. I think it's better to have him play, take his lumps. But there are people who agree with you and disagree with us, so no worries. There's definitely a case that could be made for having a veteran on the team, and I think a lot of people feel very strongly that that's one of JD's biggest mishaps for this offseason was not adding a veteran quarterback or keeping Flacco. Thomas Cahill, another name we haven't seen for a while. It's great to see you in the chat. He says JD needs to add some players. I think there are some definite player names that have popped up that he probably should have considered. The Packers just let go of a tight end that would have been really good for us, I think, to mix in there. But JD is very, very much stuck on just letting these guys play. We don't agree with him right now, and maybe later on we'll realize that he made a mistake. But he right now is very steadfast in that approach. Vervain, you don't have to apologize, man. The show runs, and then the show is over, and you can always watch it afterwards and comment afterwards, so no big deal. He says, I'm a bit late, so sorry if this has been addressed, but did you decide to watch the game from a beach in Aruba instead of going to MetLife on Sunday? So no. But our lovely, esteemed James did. He was in Aruba, having the time of his life, I'm sure. I'm sure James is pretty pissed off about what's going on, the losing right now. So he'll probably get to talk about it next week. He will be back next Wednesday. And then we'll get to kind of fully, show what we wanted, what I had in my mind for this Wednesday show. Because part of the show will be him recapping and showing tape to highlight different things that happen in the games. Let's see. I think I saw a lot of positives as well, Manny C. Not everything was so negative. There were some negatives, obviously, but there were a lot of positives as well. Elijah Vera Tucker stepped up, man. He played a much better game week 2. I remember when rookie QBs didn't start right away. They played behind veterans, and they learned. Definitely. And there's still cases of that in the NFL. The Chiefs did it with Mahomes. Aaron Rodgers obviously took several years to sit on the bench. Chad Pennington took years on the bench. There's definitely a case that can be made for sitting somebody. So I don't hate your take at all.
No, I agree. I just don't think we were never going to be in that situation. It's not like we had a dynasty quarterback or even a quarterback that we would say was consistent year to year. Flacco obviously had a very good career. I just don't think that it's apples to apples when you compare those teams and what they were able to do versus the situation our organization was in. So my comment was only just based on where we were and how bad we were. Which is why I'd rather see Zach play.
Grant Root says, how long until Mims' agent puts in a trade request? Maybe they've already done it. I don't know. I don't want to give you a silly answer. I don't want to see him get traded because we have Cole. I'll be sad, but it's more than that because next season we could really use him. Cole's gone. Crowder's going to be gone.
Right.
We need Mims next season. And so even if he just sat and was inactive every single week for the rest of the season, I still want him on the team, man, because we need him. We do have a caller. I'm going to try to take that right now. I got to put the earphones away.
Carlos.
Jesus. Carlos, you there?
Hey, what's up, John?
How you doing, dude?
Man, I could be better, but I'm looking towards the future.
Yeah, dude, tell us what's on your mind.
So I was just trying to find a good time to call in, and I was watching your live stream, and then somebody started asked a question about Mims. The one thing I had to say is a lot of people might be upset at Zach Wilson. You know, the one thing is that he's a rookie quarterback. People should be more upset at the coaching staff. And this is why I say this. Robert Saleh is a defensive coordinator. If he knew that Belichick was taking away Corey Davis and the deep threat that Zach Wilson is, and he was dumping it, he should have been having Elijah Moore and Crowder being dumped up more. And with Mike LaFleur, the one thing I don't like is that he doesn't adjust to the play calling on what the defense is giving him. It's obvious that he's dumping it out to Berrios, but as a coaching staff, I feel that he should create plays for Mims, for Corey Davis, and move these receivers around. There's no reason why you should have just Elijah Moore and Berrios in the slot and Corey Davis on the outside. You should move these receivers around and bring in Mims on the outside and expand the field.
Yeah, dude, you're not wrong by any means. I think there's something valid in saying that, you know, I still believe LaFleur is like trying to get his bearings in the NFL in calling plays and scheming it all up. I think he knows a lot on how to do that, but I still think there's a lot for him to learn. What are your thoughts on that? Like, you know, eventually maybe he starts to show some more promise in the coming weeks.
Well, to be honest, week one, if you saw the week one, I think Zach Wilson bailed out LaFleur as far as play calling and Zach moving away from the pocket and doing what Zach was doing. In week two, they put the running game into effect. But as soon as Bill Belichick came in and started moving the safeties up and moving the linebackers around, you could tell that LaFleur didn't have an answer for that. And that's why you saw a lot of those scrambling once Zach wasn't felt that he had to put on his shoulder to kind of cancel that out. But I just feel that over time, this will be the week for them to learn from it. LaFleur and even Robert Saleh as well. The one thing I tell people to take away from it is look at the improvement this team made on defense and on offense. Yes, Zach Wilson had a bad game, but it's one thing to be understandable if the defense and offense didn't get better. It's week two of the NFL. These teams are going to get going sooner or later. Now, week three will say what might be how is he going to attack the Denver Broncos defense. That's what I want to see. That's what's going to show me, okay, he's learning from it, or maybe the Denver defense coach is going to come in and say, hey, let's see what happens if we stop the run and we force them to kind of beat us deep.
I think you're on the money with a lot of that, honestly, man. It's going to be a really interesting game. Thank you so much for calling in, dude. I hope you have a great night, and thanks for calling in and giving us your takes.
Appreciate that, man. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too, bro. Thank you so much. All right, that was Carlos from California. Thank you very much for calling in. Mike, do you want to respond to any of what he said?
I get where he's coming from, and a couple of people. I mean, my thing was, I'm not saying Michael Fuller's play calling was perfect, but to me, there were options on the field for Zach to take that I think it would be. I don't think it would be honest on Michael to say that Michael Flores' scheme didn't have multiple options to deal with the coverage and what Belichick was showing him on the defense. To me, I think some of the play calls could be better. Like obviously, we talked about running it 3 times in the red zone, 3 times in a row. But I also think that there was some obvious poor execution, poor choices, poor decision making on Zach's part. So it's a yin and a yang. Some of it's Zach, some of it's Michael Floyd needs to grow. I just don't think it was all Michael Floyd's play calling that was the problem on Sunday.
Yeah. I'll kind of refer back to what I've said about the Darnold situation last year. Everybody had a hand in that. Like 2-14 doesn't happen by just one player playing poorly or one coach doing a poor job. So a 4 interception game, a lot of it you could probably put on Zach, but I think it's fair to say that it's a shared thing, man. Like they both had a hand in that. I think that after the first interception and maybe even after the first 2 interceptions, the coaching staff should have done more to rein him in and to get him playing smarter with the football. And I do believe that's going to be the focus going into this Denver game is getting him to play a clean game and a much more safe game, just in general. Good job by you, Mike, to comment on that again. Emanon, he says, I agree with Rex Ryan. He said that Zach is going to be amazing. The coaching staff is partially to blame. The whole organization is growing and learning together. We are going to be fine in time. I did see those comments from Rex, and it was nice to say that. He said that Zach Wilson is the most talented quarterback that the Jets have had since Joe Namath. And, we haven't heard him say anything quite, on that level. When we had Darnold, he didn't say that necessarily, so.
And this is coming from a man who has a tattoo of a quarterback on him.
Yeah.
So.
There you go. Zach has only 23 more interceptions to match Peyton Manning's rookie campaign. It could be worse. I think that's a record that could definitely break, not necessarily this year, but in years coming because of the extra game. I think that's definitely something that we could see break, eventually for sure. Mike says, I hear some people being critical of JD's last draft, which is warranted, but also he brought us Jonathan Franklin Myers, Bryce Huff, Guidry, and Hall. Bryce Hall looks like a stud. We haven't even talked about him. He's killing it right now. Nobody's even throwing his way. He's doing a great job in coverage. Bryce Hall looks like a real, very promising player. So I like that pick. I still have high expectations for Becton. I think when he comes back, he needs to play well. The injury does not. It doesn't, I don't put, Becton in the injury-prone category because of this most recent injury. Everybody who gets hit where he got hit, the way he got hit, we're all going down. Everybody who gets rolled up on like that, they're all getting hurt. It's a bad luck play. And so the fact that Becton got hurt on that play, it sucks. And it could hurt him, this season, but it does not mean he's injury-prone. Grant Rude, he says there were way more positives than negatives. Change out one player for a competent play and the Jets win that game. And I think what he's saying is if we have a better quarterback, on that day, we probably win.
Yep.
All right. This is what A. Mitch says in argument of the playing the veteran quarterback over the rookie. He says, not with the current rookie salary scale. You got to play them while they are cheap so that you can be ready to win in year 3 and year 4. I think that's a great, great thing to say and to add to that discussion for sure. trying to catch up here. NY Jets Florida. He says Mims is in the witness protection program. He is MIA for sure. Yeah, Gumball talking about Berrios. He has done his job. I was pretty bullish on the fact that Berrios was like, wide receiver 6. He has definitely made my comments look foolish. He's a solid player. He's a solid guy. He probably will be on the team for the foreseeable future. But I do still stand on this rock with Thomas. He is limited. You can't put Berrios on the outside. You can't line him up out there and expect him to compete for balls down the field. He's a slot guy just like Jamison Crowder is. So I agree with that. There's nothing wrong with him being a slot guy, but he is limited in what he can do. So that's how I see that. Robbie Oak said that Salas said today that Berrios is like another coach in practice, which is very interesting. I hadn't heard that. That seems to me like a comment that makes me believe even more so that Berrios is in the long-term plans for this team. Oh, let's see here. I'm just trying to catch up with you guys. Y'all are going crazy tonight. Josh McDaniels is running a dumbed-down high school offense for Mac Jones with all the gimmicks and misdirections. I hate Josh McDaniels. I hate all of those Patriot MFers. I don't like any of them. But I will tip my cap to the game plan because they obviously limited mistakes and it helped them to win that game, unfortunately. I think we heard Robert Saleh say it after the Pats game. Zach Wilson just needs to sometimes be willing to play the boring game and protect the football. And I think there's some validity to that comment. All right. I've officially caught up here. I don't know if there's been anything that we really haven't gone over. I guess we'll go to how do we want to attack the Denver Broncos because we haven't really talked too much about that. What do you want to do versus the Denver Broncos? What do you hope to see in that stadium on Sunday afternoon? Belly full of beer. What are you hoping to see versus the Broncos on Sunday, Mike?
I think leading up to the Pats game, I think I was behind. I was with you in the sense of wanting to be aggressive. That Belichick was, our thoughts were that Belichick would want you to play passive. I think for this game, I switched that up and I say a controlled game. Slow and methodical. Gives both sides of the ball, offensive defense. It gets us into a good rhythm, moving, whether we score, even in the first half or, I just wanted to see just composure, consistency, good decision making, regardless of what the end outcome is. Those are my 4 commandments, I guess you could say, my 4 guiding principles. I think that's, I don't want to get into predictions because we have a whole separate topic for that.
We will get into those shortly, yeah.
Yeah. I'll pause there. I think those are the big things that I hope to see, regardless of what the end score is at the end of the day.
Yep. So we have a comment from, let me see if I get this right. Carmelo El Bori's way. He says, let's attack their corners. That could be, I don't know. I mean, I think you can attack them in multiple ways. I kind of want to see us do more of the quick passing game this week. I want to see the ball come out of Zach's hands faster. Don't let him hold the ball a long time and, have his eyes downfield and get locked into trying to make a big play. Design the plays to get the ball out of his hands quickly. That helps in a multitude of ways. It eliminates the pass rush. Von Miller will not be able to eat Zach Wilson for lunch. It allows Zach Wilson to get into a rhythm. That's another thing we haven't seen, really. Zach Wilson struggled to find completions early in the Panthers game. And then we all know what he did early against the Patriots. Give this kid some easy shit to do in the first 2 to 3 drives of the game. Don't overwhelm him. Let him get the ball out of his hands. Let him see the receiver catch the ball, and then let him watch the receiver make a play with the ball in their hands. We saw that Michael Carter can make a play with the ball in his hand. He doesn't need a lot of room to make plays. We know Elijah Moore, what he can do after the catch. We know that Corey Davis can do some things after the catch. Just design the offense, design the game plan, especially early. Get the ball out of his hands fast. That is my only thing that I will talk about on offense, is get the ball out of his hands and let him get in a rhythm, because if he can do that, I think it gives us a shot later in the game, which is what we really want to. We want to have a shot later in this football game. If we get ourselves in a hole, which we've been in 2 weeks in a row, we probably won't win the game. We got behind versus the Panthers. We got behind versus the Patriots. Let's try to keep it a one-score game. Let's try to keep this a competitive football game. On defense, it's pretty simple, man. You gotta try to limit what Cortland Sutton can do. He is their big-time wide receiver. So if we can limit him, if we can put Bryce Hall on him and Bryce Hall has a day, we got a good shot. That's going to hurt them. If we can limit Cortland Sutton, they're going to have a hard time throwing the ball.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit worried about their running game. They've been running the ball pretty decently. Melvin Gordon, they also drafted Javonte Williams out of UNC, the counteract alongside Michael Carter at UNC. The running game is pretty good there, so that could be tough to stop. So Cortland Sutton stopping the running game and getting the ball out of Zach Wilson's hands and letting him get into a rhythm. That's my game plan going into that game. Let's see what the chat says about this. Ty Law had some success against the corners. No, I'm not saying you're wrong, and I'm fine with doing that. I would just like to see them not doing it downfield, especially early. They can do it. They can go downfield later in the game, but I want to see Zach get a little bit comfortable early in the game. Vern wants to see Zach sling it around. We need to establish the running game and force them to adjust to stop it, and then open things up and make it a little easier for our rookie QB. That definitely, yep, it goes hand in hand with what I'm saying. Quick passing, running game. Give the kid a chance to breathe in the first quarter and let him get himself, comfortable before making him make big decisions in the pocket. Mike Galizia, he says, run, throw short, allow the deep stuff to open up. Agreed. We need short passes and a good run game. No INTs. It might be hard for him to have a no INT game, but you know what? I think it's important that he gets that under his belt sooner rather than later. He's had 2 in a row now with a turnover. It would be nice to have him play a game with no INTs. It's a tall task, though, in Denver. It's going to be a really tough thing to do. Vern, he doesn't care. He says, deep ball early. Get the offense some confidence.
He's riding the lightning, baby.
Chuck and duck, baby. Chuck and duck. I like it. We just need to play like we have the last 6 quarters minus the turnovers. We will be successful. I agree. He's saying the second half versus the Panthers was obviously much, much better. Robbie says, give me a clean Zach Wilson game, run some screens and draws, feature MC and Ty. Need the O-line to show up again.
Yeah.
Hope the D can keep us in the game again. Your defense has been really impressive, very surprising.
Yeah. Just can't become one dimensional. We gotta continuously provide new looks and keep the series from being too predictable. Like Mitch was saying, on every second down, he noticed we were doing play action. So I totally agree with where Robbie Oak is on that.
Yep. Isaac Wright, it's good. Isaac Wright, is good to see you. He says put pressure on Bridgewater. I think that is going to always be the case. You always need to put pressure on the quarterback. And yes, we need to smack Bridgewater around. He's having a pretty good season actually to start out.
Yeah.
Teddy doesn't turn it over. Yeah, he's pretty good with protecting the football. He always has been pretty decent in that regard. Mitch does not want to talk about LaFleur. He says, "Don't make me do it. Don't make me bash him again." You do. I give you permission to not bash him. Man, that's impressive. I didn't know that. Bridgewater's averaging 10 yards per completion. Not worried about old man Melvin. Okay, fair enough. Crowder's going to be the safety valve for a young quarterback, which is usually the tight end. Okay, so most people are talking about the game. Vervain says Hamler is a very solid option underneath, but I have faith in Guidry MC2 to get the job done. Yeah, I still have a lot of confidence in those two guys specifically. All right, prediction time. Do you want to go first?
All right, let's do it. I'm ready. I'm ready for this moment.
Chat, throw your predictions in the chat. Score. If you have other predictions for the game, also feel free to throw those in there as well. Win, loss, score, and then you can throw in anything else. Mike, you're up.
I think, unfortunately, the last 2 weeks I predicted Jets to win. I have the Broncos winning this game. Final score, very close. I'm going with 24-17 Broncos.
Okay.
I do think that we show bursts of improvement. I'm hoping for a clean game. Like I said, I think part of the game plan is just consistency, controlling the ball, slow and methodical. I think is my opinion. I think something that I think would be a great change pace versus the somewhat chaos that we saw last week. I think playing in the altitude actually works in Jets' favor because of our youth and just how young our team is. And of course, Denver plays up there all the time. But I just think our team doesn't get too impacted by playing at Mile High. I'm expecting big contributions from Elijah again, but I do think Corey Davis is a bigger part in this week's game as far as who puts points on the board. I just think that's where we struggle is stopping the Broncos offense, particularly if Teddy. I mean, I think I saw a tweet where I think Broncos are top team to throw downfield over 20-yard passes. I want to say something. The stat was something like that. I think I butchered that pretty bad. In which case, obviously, the secondary's been playing good, but like I said, any player can have a bad day on any given Sunday, and that'll be a lot of pressure on our secondary. And I also worry about Teddy getting out the outside, and CJ was great. I think that was one thing we really didn't talk about. CJ was much more present in week 2 than week 1, which was great. But CJ can't cover. He can't keep up with Teddy on all plays at all times. So I'm just a little worried about how we contain Teddy. So I have us being competitive, much more than week 2. But I just something tells me that we'll need another game to get out of our lull. And so yeah, 24-17 Broncos.
Okay, my score is not a whole lot different. You said 24-17.
Correct.
Okay, I'm going 23-17. That's only a point different. I think our defense will play well on the road in this game. They've been impressing me all year long. I think they're going to do their best to limit Courtland Sutton. I kind of talked about that earlier. I think they'll be pretty successful doing that. And then it's really a matter of stopping the run. And I think that they'll do okay defensively. And again, offensively, I'm just hoping that they don't force things. I do think we lose 23-17, though. I think it's going to be a close game. I've predicted close games, every single week. That's typically the way it goes in the NFL. Obviously, last week was not a close game. But I think the Jets will bounce back. And that's kind of what I'm hoping for here. I'm really hoping for a competitive football game and a bounce back game from this team. So I'm going to go 23-17. Denver Broncos. They will win at home. Their home opener for the season. And I think that's it. 23-17. A lot of comments in here about their predictions. So thanks for putting those in there, guys. Sneakers to boots.
Yeah.
24-20 Denver. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Let me try that. There we go. 24-20 Denver. Isaac Wright says 21-20 Jets. I sign on that all day long. Vern saying MC2 looks like the truth. He sure does look solid, and so does Guidry. I really like those two a lot. Eddie Hunt, 24-9 Denver. A little bit of a spanking. It'll be hard, man. If we really get our butts kicked again, that's going to be a tough one to watch. And a lot of people are predicting that. Robbie Oaks says 27-10 Denver. Grant Root says 28-6 Denver. Carmelo Elboris predicts a very close game like I do, 17-20 Denver. New York Jets, Florida. He says, I'll give you a prediction. Vikings will beat Seattle. That's an interesting prediction. Seattle just lost to the Titans. And the Vikings, I feel like they've been in every game this year. They've been really close to winning, and they just haven't gotten over that hump. Interesting prediction. Vern, he's saying 19-13 Jets victory. Let me keep going here. We got a lot of predictions. Oh, Jeremy Cravat says the Jets are going to win 27-20. Broncos 24-17. Vervain predicted us to lose last week. He says Jets win this one. That's pretty cool. Denver 23-13. DSNY is saying 21-17 Denver, but we keep it close. Yeah, I think this is a solid football team that we're playing. It wouldn't shock me if we lose, but you know damn well I'm going to be rooting for it to be the opposite. That's always going to be the case. I want to be wrong. If being wrong benefits the Jets, I want to be wrong 100% of the time. Anyways, hope you all enjoyed this show. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for all of the super chats from you guys. That really does mean a lot.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All the support means everything. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys, stay tuned for the Sunday post-game show, which is going to be utter ridiculous. Yeah, that should be a pretty interesting. Real quick, BC, he says the Jets can win this game. Not sold on Denver. I do think that's that's one factor I will say. Denver hasn't beaten anybody yet, so we'll see about that. Anyways, thank you so much. Over. It's never, no guarantees in the NFL, baby. Any given Sunday. I hope you guys have a great night. Thank you guys so much for watching. Go Jets, and we'll see you guys next time.
See you guys. Thanks so much.
Peace. Go Jets.